So I'm going to be going through a few features that most of these VSTs have, and I promise you, no matter what VST you have, you look for these things, you will always find these are characteristics that are in every VST, and I just want to guide you through them so that you know what they are. I've spoken about some of them before, but these are things that you need to look out for no matter if you're getting a new VST or whatever. So firstly, we can just open GMS, and this comes pre-built in FL Studio. So the first thing I want to talk about is the cutoff. First and foremost, cutoff is always where you will EQ your sound. This is basically a filter. So as you can see, the first thing over here on the left side is this filter over here, and you have your cutoff over here. So this is how you actually move your filter around. So the filter is a common thing you will find in most VSTs. And then secondly, what you need to go look for again is the master volume. The master volume is not just called the volume only, but it's also output or gain. This is the one you'll find here written output. So this is where you control the overall volume of the whole synth, or of the whole plugin that you'll be using. So making sure that you know where the master volume is very important, so that you know when you want to turn it down or put it up or whatever. So in every VST you always find it's somewhere. It might be a slider like this one here in GMS. You see it's a slider over here, and here on Electra X you can see there's volume over here, and it's the big one over here as well, the master volume. You can see it's a knob, so it's always different. And that's the thing with these VSTs, they make these things look different and arrange them differently each time, but it's the same thing. So when you look at GMS and then you go look at Electra X, you would think that Electra X is more advanced. Not saying that it's not, but it looks a bit more futuristic because it has more knobs and more buttons and all of that. But you can kind of work through all these things by figuring out the common things that are there. So take your time and really look and read through the names of all these things. So you got your volume and you've got your cutoff there, and things you want to look for as well in VSTs are the attack, release, and decay. And these are things you will always find as well in VST. So these are your envelope settings, and as you can see here on Electra X, they're over here where it says envelope, and you see there's an A, D, S, and R. So A stands for attack, D stands for decay, S is sustain, R is release. So this is where you can tweak out your sound and make sure that the timing is correct. If a sound is coming in too slow after you press your key, then you know it's your attack. It's attacking slowly. You need to tweak your attack. If your sound is playing for too long and you want it to stop playing immediately as soon as you leave, your finger comes off the key, then you need to play around with your sustain and your decay as well, and just kind of finesse it into playing the exact length that you want it to play. And also the releases, when it releases the sound, and just has it keep going. So these are things you'll always find in a lot of them. If I can move to Gladiator here, you can see it's the same thing. You have your cutoff over here by the filter, and you look around, you also find your envelope settings. Like over here you see A, D, S, FR. So that's the fade, the F, that's the volume fade. That's a extra one they added there. So it's just different depending with the VST that you're going to be using, and that is the things you need to look for. And another common thing is to always notice the way everything is arranged. For me at first, when I looked at VSTs, I didn't see any arrangement. I just saw just a huge number of knobs and sliders that I didn't understand. But if you start to take a closer look, you'll see that everything is arranged in groups. Like you see here, there's the filter group, the envelope group, the LFO group, and the channel group, and the settings of the attack, decay, and sustain and release. So no matter what it is, there's always an order to things. Like as you can see here, there's oscillator, so which means the oscillator goes all the way here, and that is the oscillator settings. you know, and these are other settings over here and everything. So another thing you also want to check out in VSTs is effects. Most VSTs come with pre-built effects. A lot of people are looking for good reverbs and good delays and good compressors, but you forget that these VSTs are so powerful, they come with these effects with them already. If I go into Nexus, a very common plugin as well, you will see that over here you find there's delay and reverb. So again, you'll see that there's a master filter with the cutoff. There we go. And you see that there's an output right there at the end, and now you have these effects over here. So with these effects, you can actually tweak them out to make sure that you can have a reverb on your sound before you actually assign another reverb that is in FL Studio. So you need to always look out for these effects, and most and when I say most, it'll be too much for me to say all of them, but most VSTs have effects. Like this one, Anna, has a distortion, has a compressor, has delay and reverb, and sometimes using these effects will give you a much more different feel than you would normally get from a normal FL Studio reverb. You see here you can insert effects. There you have a lot of effects you can add to the sound that you're using. So sometimes if maybe you're using a drum sound from a plugin, a VST, you can already compress it and do EQing on the VST itself without having to use anything else. So these are the basic things that you need to find in VSTs, no matter which one it is, even if it's Omnisphere, even if it's any big VST. These are the common things that you want to look for. So I hope this video really helps you and figure out where things are, and always look around, because some of these VSTs are confusing the way they're set up depending with the manufacturer. Like here you have FM8. FM8 has this navigator over here. That's what Native Instruments like to do, is to give you a navigation where you can browse your presets over here, and you have your attributes of the sounds, and you have your master where you can control all the master faders. Like you see your volume is here and your input is there. Then you can also play around with the main pitch. This is the same pitch as you find in FL Studio up here. And you can also play with your portamento and stuff like that. So, you know, you also have effects you can add: overdrive, tube amps, cabinets. You can tweak your sound to your liking. So take advantage of all these things that are found in VSTs, instead of just looking for a preset and then moving on and saying, I don't like this preset, it's got too much reverb, but forgetting that you can actually switch off that reverb that you don't like and still keep the sound that you have there. And a last thing that I want to put to your attention that is found in a lot of VSTs is a glide. Now a glide switch is very, very useful in terms of when you're playing sounds that like leads and then you want it to glide. It's usually a good thing that you would want to pay attention to, because you want it to move and have, you know, kind of that slide when you're playing it, so that it doesn't play the same way, of which you can still do that over here in FL Studio. If you go to the range and you come here to polyphony and you say max 1 and put it to mono and then let it slide, VSTs also have that. Over here you can see there's a frequency slide over here that you can use here in GMS. You can use that as well. And over here in Nexus, I believe you just have to go into the settings to find out where that is. But there is a place where you can make sound slide already without having to do that. Here in Portamento, you can, you know, use poly or legato if you want to, and then choose the speed of how you want it to slide. And some other ones also come with a sliding knob that you just have to use and change the timing of the sound and make it slide back and forth. So it's up to you and up to the VST that you're going to be using on how you want it to work. So always look out for these things. These are the things that will make it easier for you to work with any VST, no matter which one it is. These are the things they all have in common that I wanted to point out, so you guys don't get lost with all these VSTs and think that, you know, when things are rearranged and they look all futuristic, you think that it's totally different from the one you were using before. So start in the beginning, use the simple ones first, understand everything that's on there, and when you go to the bigger ones, just look for the same things. There might be it might be a knob instead of a slider, it might be a different name, but it's usually doing the same thing that the other one is doing. So I hope you find this video helpful, and if you did, leave a like down below. It'll really help the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I'm gonna check you guys out in my next video. Thanks for watching. I am X and I'm out. Peace.